Hello and welcome. Listen, if you're over 70 or perhaps you have a parent or loved one who is and there's any air travel in your plans, you're going to want to stay tuned. This is a genuinely important one. There's a complete wave of new airport security regulations rolling out. And honestly, they're creating some major unexpected challenges for senior travelers right at the gate. So today, we're simply going to break it all down piece by piece. Our goal is to give you a simple, stress-free guide so you can fly with total confidence. Let's jump in. So, here's how we're going to tackle this. We've got 5 sections. First, we'll talk about these new obstacles at the gate and, why they're even a thing now. Then, we're going to dive into the single biggest change you need to know about, the Real ID deadline. After that, we'll get into the specifics of navigating the airport with medical equipment, or if you need a little mobility help. Section 4 is all about the new digital airport. What's up with all the mobile boarding passes? And finally, and this is the important part, we're going to pull it all together into a simple action plan for you. All right, so you might be wondering why all of a sudden what's going on? Well, over the last couple of years, the Department of Homeland Security and the TSA have been in the middle of this massive modernization project at basically every major airport. They put in new screening equipment. They've digitized a lot of the identity systems, and they've tightened up all the security regulations. And look, the goal is to make things safer for everybody, but one of the unintended side effects is that seniors, especially if it's been a little while since you've flown, are running into these new obstacles that can honestly just stop a trip dead in its tracks. And believe me, this isn't just a what-if scenario. This is really happening. Let me just tell you a quick story that happens all the time. Imagine a 72-year-old woman so excited to fly and see her brand new grandchild for the first time. She gets to the airport plenty early, has her driver's license, the same one she's used for years. It doesn't even expire for another 2 years. But the TSA agent looks at it, shakes their head, and tells her she can't get on the plane. And she's just confused, upset, and she ends up missing the entire trip. The agent's explanation, no star, no flight. The stakes here are real. Now, that story gets to a really critical point. This isn't personal. These new regulations were not designed to make things difficult for older travelers. It's all because of that huge system-wide security upgrade we were just talking about. The new system is kind of built with this assumption that everybody has a smartphone in their pocket and a government ID that was issued in the last year or 2. But, that's just not reality for millions of us. And seniors are often the ones getting caught in this gap. So, our mission today is to give you the info you need to just sail right through this new system. So, that brings us right to the big one, the single biggest issue that's going to affect every single person flying in the US, but it especially impacts seniors who might have had their license for a good long while. I'm talking about the Real ID requirement. You've probably heard about it, right? Maybe you saw a sign at the DMV and thought, I'll get to that later. Well, later is officially here. So, what is a Real ID anyway? It's pretty simple. It's just a federal security standard that every state-issued ID, like your driver's license, has to meet now if you want to use it for federal purposes like getting on a plane. Now, the easiest way to know if you're good to go is to just look at your license. If you've got it handy, go ahead and pull it out right now. Look in the upper corner, usually the top right. Do you see a little star? It might be gold or black. If you see that star, you are golden. You're all set. But if you don't see a star, we've got to talk. You need to take action. Okay, write this date down. Circle it. Put it on your calendar. May 7th, 2025. After that date, the TSA will officially stop accepting those older drivers' licenses that don't have the star. You won't be able to get through security with one. Now, here's the thing that catches so many people off guard. This is true even if your license hasn't expired yet. I'm going to say that again. You could have a license that's perfectly valid for driving until 2028. But if it doesn't have that star, it's not going to work for a flight after May 7, 2025. All the grace periods are over and the TSA agents at the airport have zero flexibility on this. They can't make an exception. All right. So, what do you do if you look at your license and there's no star? Don't panic. You've got 3 really simple options. Number 1, and this is what most people do, is you go to your local DMV and you get a real ID. Now, you'll need to bring some specific documents. Usually something like a birth certificate to prove your identity, your social security card, and a couple proofs of where you live, like utility bills. And my advice, don't wait on this. The DMVs can get backed up for weeks. Option 2, you can just use a valid US passport or a passport card. If you have one, that's perfect. Go check the expiration date on it right now. A passport is the gold standard. And third, if you're a veteran or active military, your military ID card is already Real ID compliant. You're good to go. Okay, great. We've got the whole ID thing sorted out. Now, let's move on to the second big area where things have changed. Traveling with medications, medical devices, and getting help with mobility, like a wheelchair. Because of all the new security protocols, the way you might have done things in the past might not work anymore, no pun intended, and showing up unprepared here can really cause some major headaches and delays at the security line. With these new regulations, TSA agents are just being a lot more careful. So, if you're traveling with any kind of prescription medicine, you absolutely have to keep it in the original pharmacy bottle with the label on it. That label with your name on it is basically your hall pass. For things like insulin syringes, it's a really good idea to have a note from your doctor on their letterhead just explaining why you need them. And for any kind of device, a CPAP machine, a nebulizer, anything like that, just tuck a copy of the prescription or a doctor's note in the bag with it. It's not about them trying to stop you. It's just about having the paperwork to prove to security that these things are medically necessary. Now, this number on your screen, this is your secret weapon for real. This is the TSA Cares Helpline. It's a completely free service that's designed specifically to help travelers who have disabilities or medical conditions. Here's the magic. If you call them at least 72 hours before you fly, they will actually coordinate with the TSA agents at your airport to make sure you have a much smoother, easier screening process. They can even have someone there to meet you and help guide you through. It is an amazing service that not enough people know about. This is another big change. It used to be that you could pretty much just show up at the airport and ask for a wheelchair if you needed one. Well, those days are pretty much over. A lot of airports have hired outside companies to handle these services, and they just don't have a lot of extra staff hanging around. So, to guarantee that you'll get assistance, you have to request it when you book your ticket, or at the absolute latest 48 hours before your flight. If you just show up and ask, you could be waiting for an hour, maybe more. And that's an easy way to miss your flight. So, the bottom line is you've got to plan ahead and book it in advance. Let's move on to the new digital airport. You've probably noticed that airlines are pushing, and I mean really pushing, for everyone to use a mobile boarding pass on their smartphone. And for a lot of people, that's great. It's convenient. But if you don't have a smartphone, or you just feel more comfortable with a good old-fashioned paper copy, this whole digital push can feel a little intimidating. But I've got good news. You absolutely still have options. Yeah, the whole process of getting a boarding pass has definitely changed. The old way was simple, right? You walked up to the counter and an agent printed your pass for you. Now, there are a few different ways this can go. The airline's number one choice is for you to use their mobile app. Their next choice is for you to check in at home on your computer and print it out yourself. If you can't do that, you can use one of the self-service kiosks at the airport, and that's still free. The very last resort is going to the ticket counter. And you need to be aware of this. Some airlines are now charging a fee, anywhere from $5 to $25, just to have an agent print your pass. So, the main takeaway here is you don't need a smartphone to fly, but you do need to have a plan for how you're going to get that boarding pass. Okay, so we have covered a lot of ground here, right? We talked about IDs, medical regulations, digital boarding passes, a lot of stuff. So, now let's pull all of this great advice together into one simple practical checklist. Think of this as your pre-flight action plan. Your ticket to making sure your next trip is smooth, easy, and totally stress-free. Here we go. Your 7-point plan for a perfect trip. Number 1, as soon as we're done here, check your ID for that star. Number 2, gather up all your medical paperwork and put it in your carry-on so it's with you. 3, if you think you'll need a wheelchair, book that assistance when you book your ticket. 4, I want you to seriously consider getting TSA PreCheck. It's about $78 for 5 years. It means shorter lines and you don't have to take off your shoes, your belt, or take your laptop out of the bag. Trust me, it is a game changer for reducing stress. 5, decide before you leave for the airport exactly how you're getting your boarding pass. 6, before you pack, look up your airline's carry-on size regulations and measure your bag. You don't want any expensive surprises at the gate. And number 7, just arrive early. Our recommendation is 2.5 hours for a domestic flight, 3.5 for international. That extra time is the best gift you can give yourself. It's a buffer against stress. Look, it's true. The regulations have changed. The airport has gotten a little more complicated. But knowledge is power, right? By understanding what's new and just doing a little prep work before you go, you are the one in complete control. These aren't really roadblocks. They're just new steps in the dance. You've earned the right to go visit your family, to take that vacation you've been dreaming of, and to see the world without any of this hassle. So, with this plan in your back pocket, the only real question left is where are you going to go next?